I'm live. Maddie's running around chasing squirrels right now. What is going on, everybody? I am sitting here. Hey, sitting here on my deck. It's a little muggy. It's a little hot, but it feels pretty good. Shoot, I just did that. Yeah, feels pretty good. What happened to that? I am. Anyway. Hey, thanks, Peter. How are you, buddy? He says I'm looking relaxed. I kind of am. It's a little muggy out here, but it wasn't nearly as muggy as my ride today at 1 o'clock. Why I do these things, I don't know. I like to kind of ease into my day, and of course, 1 o'clock. I know, that's like post lunch. But yeah, I hit the coffee shop today. We're working on a crushing iron online store, which is kind of exciting, and doing some other things behind the scenes. Plus, I was over there just sort of like thinking and writing about my Louisville race. But anyway, I'm going to start with where I was today. I had as we know, a big weekend, and I had a nice, easy recovery swim yesterday. And today, my workout was 1 hour and 30 minutes of easy zone 1 to zone 2 riding in the lab, which I don't know if you guys all know about, but you should if you've listened to the podcast by now. It's the old airfield. It's like a 30-yard wide stretch of or blacktop that goes in a 1.2-mile loop, and it gets super hot out there. There's no shade. It's also windy, and I went easy. So Peter just finished tempo 4 interval run in much cooler weather than me in Australia. I bet, man. I bet it's nice over there. What time is it there right now? It is 7 o'clock here. And anyway, I was out riding, and I got to tell you, I about my third. No, it was actually towards the end. I was about an hour in, and I rode past this guy. It's 10 a.m. in Australia, where Peter is. I rode by this guy. He's probably my age, but he's probably he's probably in his 60s or something. And he's on a bike, and he's wearing a red thong with a yellow sweatshirt with cut off sleeves and sort of this halter top vibe thing going on. And man, his guts hanging out, and I'm thinking to myself, the dude, I mean, like his ass was just showing, man, on that bike seat. And I rode by him, and then he was actually, instead of doing loops around the whole place, he was going down and back and forth. And I think the guy's cruising for a little action out there, to be honest, because it's just not a place where you hanging out with the thongs. But I felt pretty good, but my legs are a little tired. I came back and had this really good post workout meal, I thought, had a little bit of some tuna, an avocado, a sweet potato, and spinach. Solid. And right, like maybe a half hour later, I was out like a light and took a huge nap. And then I woke up, and I'm like, that I feel like it's that healing feeling you get, but you're tired, but you can tell your legs are working, and you can almost feel your legs sort of bubbling inside and kind of just like a little bit hot. And it's that sort of, I always think of it as that healing growth phase, which isn't like the most comfortable at the time, but something good is going on. So, the one thing I was thinking about is I got to figure out my sleep, man. I think I drink too much coffee in the morning too, and I don't even know if I need it. I've been getting up like this morning, and I've really been, the first thing I go to is water, because I guess I'm thinking about what a better way to start the process than have a glass of water and that felt good. And I had a lot of energy this morning. Had a couple cups of coffee, and then finally got out to the lab. And I don't know. It's just I think I spiked my insulin too much with this coffee, which is why they say you're supposed to add the butter, is it slows down the caffeine assimilation in your bloodstream. And so I do that a little bit, and it seems to help. But I think here's the thing is I've been thinking over at the coffee shop, I was writing about my race a little bit, because that's what I do. I try to write out what strategies I might have, and I was looking at the Louisville bike course elevation map, and just kind of trying to get a gauge, because I've done this race twice, but I don't really remember this course that well. And I was looking at it, and it's basically sort of this up down kind of, there's a lot of hills. This particular map says 5,300 feet of elevation. But the challenge is going to be holding back. Did I lose my, no, the challenge is going to be holding back for me. And I was kind of looking at some of the age group, because last year I did 6 hours on the dot, like 6 hours and 11 seconds or something like that. And I keep thinking to myself, okay, well, that's not bad. And it was, I think, 18.5 miles an hour. So that's not bad, right? And then I was looking at the guy who won, and just to get an idea of what his bike split was in my age group, and I think it was 5:20. So that's 40 minutes, but I mean, that's probably like Uber biker stuff that I'm not even close to. So the question becomes, like, what would be a nice increase on, because if that's the best is 5:20. I mean, like, if that's the ultimate goal or the ultimate high end for somebody in my age group, then you got to think in terms of, like, if I did like 5:50 or 5:45, that would be quite an improvement for me. And I think that was about taking the 18.5 average up to like 19. So, I mean, that may seem reasonable to me. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? The thing is like, what is comfortable? Because this is all about the run. I mean, if I'm 18.5 or I'm 19 and I can actually run a race for once up there, even though it's that flat course, I've had some tremendous challenges about halfway through that thing. So obviously I want to save something, but I think I'm in a little bit better bike shape. I know I'm in better swim shape, but the swim's almost the same thing, right? So you got 1,000 meters upstream or something like that, and a lot of it protected, and then the rest is downstream. So maybe it's like 1,200 up. I can't remember. It's about a third of the way up, and then you got 2/3 down. Last year I swam a 110 with a wetsuit. I've swam a 105 without there. I don't know why. Probably the current, and I think I took a different line that they don't let you take anymore on the inside. And then so I'm thinking, 5 seconds per 100 meters is a pretty big deal. That could get me down to 105 again. Yeah, 19.5 is 5:45. Yeah, see, I think that might be pushing it for me up there. But I don't know. I've done Wisconsin in about 950 something. It's the same kind of course, but then again, I got to be careful, because I can always like hammer the bike, but if I don't have any legs, I guess I'm no different than everybody. I mean, we all can. The pain on the bike for me is sort of manageable, and I can always keep going. But on the run, it hasn't happened. So, Wes, what are you thinking about? I know you don't have goals, but what are you going to go, about 5 hours on that course? Man, I got to tell you, you ever get these like mosquito farm bites on your lower legs? Like, I don't even know how it happened, but I was out running. Yes, the 10:17 run will be put to the test for sure. this mosquito thing. I was out running the other day, and my legs itch so badly at the bottom, and I was like kind of feeling sorry for myself, and I'm like, because the sweat kept getting in there, and I kept itchy, and and then I saw a couple of people like out there that could barely walk, and I was just like, God, man, quit feeling sorry for yourself. So that's sort of the phase I'm in too right now. It's like, just do the work, man. That's the one thing I want to do is just carry on. I've got what I said, 47 days left, which means, 20, like, I don't know, 25 days of hard work to go. Just zero in, suck it up, and then think about your taper, get focused, and then do a solid race, see what happens. But yeah, so that's, I don't know. The swim part is, it's like there's just not much room there. Everybody wants to swim, like what is it? The 4 hour marathon, the 6 hour bike, and then that sort of that hour swim. Those are the kind of things that I think suck people in, including myself sometimes. And it's just like another distraction from the overall race. I mean, I can't remember which race. It might have been Louisville. No, it was, yeah, it probably was Louisville. I remember thinking I got to get under 6 hours. And last year I was so bummed. I think it was my first 6 hour ride. I'd been 5:58, 5:59, 5:51 or whatever. And then last year I came in when I saw it was 6 hours and 11 seconds or 50 seconds or something like that. It kind of bummed me out for some reason because I think I take a little pride in my cycling. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's solid. I think it always comes back to just, swim solid, bike within yourself, and then run consistent and within yourself through mile 18, and then just see what happens. But you know how hard that is? I've done this race 5 times the full, and to hold back. I mean, that's incredible. I think we're going to get some C26 t-shirts with one of our favorite sayings on there, hurry slowly. And that's the thing, right? Who can slow down the least? And then, I don't know, is anybody out there watching who has gotten to mile 18 and then actually picked it up in the marathon and brought it home and negative split the Ironman marathon, going once, twice? Um, you know, do I think that's possible? Yeah. But the only way to do that for me will be to exercise, like Peter said, it'll be the 10:17 run to the nth degree through the first loop of that thing. Because if you think you're going to go out and hold some crazy pace through right out of the gate through mile 18, that's probably highly unlikely, especially for me. So I'm going to have to actually go slower and hope that I can. I was thinking about, like how much more of a mental benefit it would give me if I was going slow for that first half and then actually watching my average speed drop versus raise. And the only reason I even talk about it because Louisville is such a consistently pretty flat course. It's not like a hilly thing, so you don't really have that element involved. There are, obviously there's some little hills on there and you kind of like under bridges and those types of things, but nothing massive. And it's it can be a pretty fast run course, but for whatever reason, flat courses destroy my legs, and I've had trouble with my hips and just tired, not injuries. And I've, for the most part, slogged through it. But man, I last year I was in that second loop last year, and I'm like, I'm not doing an Ironman next year unless I'm better prepared, because it is, you can't, I can sit here all day and talk about how bad that felt, but you just don't know until you get there. And I'm not saying that to scare anybody, but I think most of you people out there that are doing Ironman are probably more disciplined in training about your run. And this year I have been. So I'm cautiously optimistic with, a solid month or so of running left, and just to kind of build it up and then have faith in the recovery and the taper. And, I think I was reading somewhere where it's literally such a science that you almost just want to be, you can, even 2 days before your race, you can feel like a little wanky. And then the whole idea is just to, like, that day before, be totally on point and ready to go. So, even Thursday and Friday, before the race, I know a lot of people probably have these feelings like, man, I'm still a little fatigued or whatever the case is. And then hopefully that one day out, you know, is when it all starts clicking. I think that's the challenge, and the target is to get it all, pulled together the day before, and then that next day just feel fresh. Like, how do you feel super fresh, right? Did I have a cold during the last Ironman, or was that chat? Um, yeah, I think it was chat, and that's actually my fastest race. So, is there something to be said for being distracted? I always have sort of these, like, allergy sort of dischargey kind of moments, it seems like. But yeah, I definitely had a cold at Chattanooga, I think. Um, the full, though. Are you talking about this year? Or maybe it was, I don't know. I mean, that's just I definitely had one for the full at Chattanooga, and I felt terrible. But on race day, it just happened. And that, to this day, was my best. I think that was 11:28 or something like that. Um, but, I guess that's always the thing. You don't want to be. Yeah, I know, that's the thing, man. Sometimes you get sick and you're like, it takes away, like, you're so focused on that you're not worried about the race, and you just kind of let the race happen. And I mean, I think that's also a good equalizer. You don't want to get sick, obviously, but if you are, you're gonna be more cautious and thinking about it from a patient standpoint, and you're just not gonna feel like exploding on that course. And that's the other catch about feeling awesome. I remember coming out of the water once at Louisville and running to my bike and just feeling like amazing, which is you know a double-edged sword, because you feel that good, you're going to come out flying on River Road, right? Wes, what's your plan for River Road? You're going to go just own it right out of transition? Um, that's one of my, you got 10 miles of flat coming right out of T1 in Louisville, and what do you do with that? What if you got the wind behind you and you're feeling amazing? Are you just going to let it rip? Yep. Wes says, whatever coach tells me to do. And I have to say, that's probably going to be a power-based decision. And yeah, it's just so weird, because, like, a guy like me, and I openly race without power and without heart rate and all that stuff. And part of it's stubbornness and old school. So I try and think of it in terms of, how do I hold that back mentally? I'm not going to any numbers, but I'm also thinking about, I've done that course now twice, and I sort of know where my sweet spot is with it. But I'm just going to try. I don't want to, like, it's weird. You want to take advantage of wind if you're going out on that flat 10 miles, but you don't want to overcook it, but you also don't want to throw it away. Yeah, I agree. It's too early to push, but sometimes you don't even think you're pushing. That's the catch, right? It's like, man, I just feel good and this is easy. And then 10 miles in, then you hit that hill, and then the hills start coming. And so, but you see, yeah, it is too easy. You should see, but you've seen them. Some of these guys just come out and start putting the hammer down right out of the gate, clip in, and it's just like the grunting begins, and they're off. They're off to River Road. They're off to that hill, and then you start passing them going up the hill. You know, it's just such a long day, man. Um, just be, I guess, that course will give me what I take, and I'll take what it gives me. That's the one thing. I've been working big gears a lot, so I feel pretty strong, and usually a tailwind on the way going out. But it's not like, well, last year was pretty windy, of course. It was knocking over limbs, and I was bunny hopping all kinds of tree stuff. And on the way in, that was. But it was pretty windy, but I don't think it's not usually that windy up there, is it? I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to overanalyze it, but sometimes I just think about it. I like to write it out and kind of sort through my thoughts and have a game plan. And even if you don't, the more you think about it, the more you kind of can hold yourself to it if it's solid in your brain. But if it's just sort of all these different crazy ideas, then you never know what's going to happen. You just sort of wing it. Because that's really it, right? Coach Robbie always talks about being smart and being disciplined and being patient. And, I think a lot of our athletes are getting a better handle on that. I think actually most of them do. And he's gotten through to a lot of people. For a lot of people, like, yeah, oh yeah, I'm be patient. It's real hard to be patient. It just really is. Especially because every time you get out of the water, there's nothing you want to do more than ride that bike, and then you just start going out and riding it, and the same thing. The worst feeling ever is mile 100 on the bike. I mean, that almost hurts me more than the run does in some regard. And you just can't wait to run. But 10:17 out of the gate, you're going to see me. Even though I don't advocate walking on the marathon, I may be walking out of the gate if I'm pushing my 10:17 rule. You can bank on it, especially for the first mile, maybe two. Make sure my heart rate is under control. Make sure my core temp is under control. That sort of stuff. Anyway, I've gone way too long. You guys have a lot more things to do tonight besides sit here and watch this. I appreciate you coming in. Once again, the Crushing Iron online store might be set up pretty soon. I'm pretty stoked. We have a podcast coming up Thursday. It'll be episode number 194. Every Tuesday, Thursday, I'm Mike from the Crushing Iron podcast, crushingiron.com. If you're interested in checking us out, coaching, whatever it is, do that. All right. Well, have a great night. It's Tuesday in Nashville. The sun's going down, and I am going to go relax. Thank you.